Hi there, this is Sam from EasyTradingSignals.com. I haven't done a video in quite a while, but I found something that I thought would be well worth sharing. So here we are. So what I have today is cumulative delta. Now you might not have heard of this before, maybe you have. Normally what this indicator would do would be to show the difference between buyers and sellers, how many buyers there are versus how many sellers. It's similar to on-balance volume, but not quite. And in this particular case, we have an approximation of cumulative delta because cumulative delta is normally calculated using market data as opposed to limit orders. In other words, market orders where people enter directly on the current market price as opposed to setting a position where they want to enter the market with a limit order with a stop. So this is an approximation of that. It basically takes by how much the candle has moved up versus down, looks at the highs and lows versus the body size, and then takes volume as a percentage of that and allocates it to the buy and sell side, and uses that to create basically what looks like candles. Can also make it a line if you want. And this EDS cumulative delta Bollinger Band indicator is available on TradingView, so you can download it there for free from my profile. Just look for it, ETS cumulative delta Bollinger Bands. And what this does, it adds in Bollinger Bands, and of course Bollinger Bands are just the standard deviation of whatever you're measuring, and it gives us a very good indication of where we stand with regards to previous movement. So basically it tells us if something is unusual or not, and that's why it's useful, and that's why I have it up here in both, in this case, Apple, as well as down here on cumulative delta itself. So very quickly, what I really found useful for in terms of what's really obvious and easy is divergence. So when you see price hitting new highs, particularly if it hits, let's say the upper or lower bands of Bollinger, and you see that cumulative delta, or the approximation of it in this case, is heading down, then you know that the volume of buyers is not quite the same as the price movement, and therefore you can expect that price will capitulate and drop down. And in this case, that's exactly what happened. So the other thing you'll see in this case, you'll see that the cumulative delta didn't even reach the top of the Bollinger Band, whereas in price it did, at least over here. And then here, of course, it went even higher, although it didn't touch. But here you can see it didn't even reach that. So we can see that the volume really wasn't there, even though price moved quite a bit. So this is a very good example of the divergence between cumulative delta and price. But we can also take a look at some other quick examples. And then you're welcome to explore by yourself and see how this can help you trading. I've found it to be very, very valuable. Of course, a lot of times it corresponds pretty closely to what you see on price. But what I've found particularly useful is to see when it diverges. So for instance, here once again, you can see that it touched, price touched the upper Bollinger, but you see over here on cumulative delta, it didn't even get close. So we know that price, even though there was a big move, it's actually weak. It's a weak move that's not really supported by the volume. And here we have the same thing. It didn't even touch. So it it's very interesting and it's very useful and gives you information about the market that you wouldn't have seen otherwise. So here's another indication that's really interesting to me. So we see over here that cumulative delta actually breaks down below our midline over here. But we can see in price, we're still very much at this point above, right? And then we have a bit of up move. So we have this move down. Yes, we do. And then we have a slight move up. And it kind of seems to recover quite a lot on price. But when you look at cumulative delta once again, it is actually much lower. It doesn't quite reach the same heights as at all as it did with price. And then soon after, it just crashes down. So look for this type of thing when you're using cumulative delta. I think you'll find it to be a very valuable tool. I really haven't come across a lot of people using cumulative delta, and I think that's a mistake. I think it's a very useful tool, and especially when it comes to divergences, it seems to help you see the true market, and basically gives you a bit of a heads up when things are not quite as they appear. So I hope that helped you. Hey, please give a like and please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching.